Welcome to the Present Fathers Podcast. This is the show that focuses on climbing the mountain of fatherhood together. We believe that dads matter. That's why this show is for you. So gear up, dads. Get ready. It's time to start climbing. All right, welcome back to the Present Fathers Podcast. Our guest tonight is Chad Spikes. Chad is the Executive VP of All-American Film, and we are really thrilled to have you, Chad. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
Thanks for having me. Good.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to it. So we hear you have a very new one in the home now.
Yeah,
that true?
7-month-old. Yeah, it's
All
it's
right.
definitely exciting.
Yeah, you're you're back in baby jail.
Yeah. Yeah. When she first got
Yeah.
home from the hospital, I was like, "Oh my God, what did I do?" I was like, "Put her back." Like, I don't know what to do with this. Like, it was crazy time.
Yeah.
But we're through that hump, so we're now getting to the more, I guess, the calmer phase before the storm.
Right. Awesome, man. Well, why don't you kind of give us a little bit of background about yourself and your family and what you do for work, and we know that you're co-workers with Dustin, but yeah, kind of level set for our audience who you are, and then we'll kind of get into it.
Yeah, I'm Chad Spikes. I come from a small family up north. I'm from Connecticut originally, lived in Rhode Island for a couple of years, and moved down to Orlando, and somehow came to Brevard County. I've been doing photography, mainly sports photography, for about, I want to say, 12 years. And me and my friend Jarvis started our media company, All American Film, just starting out at a high school level, and then we worked our way up to, JUCO college, and some NBA games, and we're working on getting some NFL games as well. And we just do all types of events, but mainly our main focus is sports. Besides that, myself, I was in the military for 4 years. Basically an engineer, down and dirty type of guy, and just got out, and now I'm working in the hospital. It's like one end of the spectrum to the other. So now, now I save lives in the cardiac field and put sense in people who really need it. Treat sick people who are having heart attacks. So that's pretty gratifying.
Definitely, man. Definitely nice to be directly saving lives. It's about as real as it gets. So
Yes.
yeah, and a disclaimer for this episode: it's going to be heavily about sports ball. So for those not interested in sports, you may want to tune out for this one. But Chad, I'm real thrilled. We normally are talking about such like high, philosophical things, like really hard hitting things. So it's nice to kind of come back and talk about sports every now and then, kind of a guy's night. So I'm looking forward to this one. But why don't you tell us a little bit more about All American Film? You said you started with your buddy, but when you say you're doing photography, is it film? Is it photos? Like how, I think a lot of people don't really, we watch the games, but we don't really know what goes on behind the scenes when it comes to kind of what you do for work
Yeah,
with your business.
not a lot of people understand the whole aspect of like the camera work, and they think you could just pull up with an iPhone and just take a couple of pictures, or take a couple of video, and they're just like, yeah, like, like, it's fine, just take it on the iPhone. I get that a lot. So just basically video and photography photos that we do. Jarvis went to school for videography. So on the other hand, when I had got out the military, he basically said, "Hey, man, come over to one of the Rockledge High games and see what I got going on." Basically, I came out there and I was like, I kind of fell in love with it, because when I was playing football, we didn't have that type of excuse me, we didn't have that type of like people out there for free doing like media, putting together videos and pictures for us, and we didn't have that type of exposure. So it felt like actually good to get back to the place I went to high school, and to like see the kids just smile and be like, "Hey, you got my video. Hey, did you get that play? Did you get all that done?" So it's pretty nice to get that. So I basically started with that, and when I was in high school, I was playing tight end, and so you didn't get really much pictures of the O
Right.
line. So I make sure when I'm out there, I get a lot of pictures of them. That and when I started, that's what I was doing. I was getting a lot of pictures, focusing on the offensive line and defensive line, and then the special team players, and just getting pictures of the coaches, the fans, and the players, and
That's cool.
etc. And they really liked it. So other schools heard about it, and we just took off from there and just kept going, and basically made connections, and we
Yeah.
are now. Yeah.
That's awesome. It's cool that you're like, so ingrained at like the grassroots level. And I agree. I wasn't even that good, but I had one real big picture of I was doing a takedown in wrestling, and it was like this awesome photo. It was like the one photo I ever got of me doing wrestling, and it's like I was like so pumped when I got it. So I can imagine, how you taking high quality photos and video of the kids playing, probably makes their year really. I mean, I still it's been 20 years. I still know that photo, right? So
Yeah.
that's awesome that you get to kind of give those guys something like that. So I wanted to kind of ask a question a little bit more about your perspective on sports now that obviously we all kind of played, we love sports, all that kind of stuff. But how did it change after becoming a dad for you, and then also with what you do so close to the kids and kind of helping them get their photos and stuff? You know, has that changed for you after becoming a dad? Just kind of talk through that a little bit because I think you have a pretty unique perspective
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
most
That
people get.
man, that definitely changed. Because you're always you want to go home to your kid. You want to spend as much time, especially if your kid's in daycare. You get off of work, and if you work a regular 9 to 5, you get out of work, you pick your kid up from daycare, and you want to spend as much time with them. So sometimes you do miss those games, those 7 o'clock games and stuff like that, because you want to spend time, and it's kind of hard to balance taking care of a little one and getting all the pictures done and edited and sent out on time, and the video and the video, which takes like a lot of time, a lot of process, a lot of thought process, a lot of creativity. So you're never really in that creative mindset when you get back home as well from taking pictures or taking video or just off work in general, because you got a little one with you. So it has taken away from it a little bit, but you just take it one day at a time, one goal at a time, and try to not overwhelm yourself, because it could get overwhelming just with a newborn, and it's it's madness. You'll drive yourself crazy trying to get all these kids their stuff and making everybody else happy. You gotta make sure your family's good first, and then your craft. And it's a blessing. I love it. I love it. I love it being the grit of it. So figuring out myself as well. That's really helped me figure out myself and be more organized as a person.
Good deal, man. I think Brandon's got a question.
Yeah, I was gonna say I totally agree. I think all of our perspectives change quite significantly when we have kids. But my question is, how important is it for kids to get involved in sports? And like, what is the primary lesson or benefit kids gain from participating in sports to you?
Just firsthand when I was in sports in high school, whether it be track or football or any kind of sport, it's just you don't get that same kind of feeling with like your family. You're practicing with the guys, you're having a good time, and you've been through more situations with those guys, so it kind of brings out like charisma, and that kind of aspect, and just to just go through different situations and face adversity is just it's crazy. The highs and lows, and to how to navigate through that, and just how to be around a team, how to work with the team. And I think it's really important, because later on in life, just going through and like looking back to what my coaches said, like they said a lot of stuff to me that resonate with me right now, that actually works in the real world. And one of my coaches, Coach Luz, he used to say, like, how bad do you want it? What does it mean to you? And that sticks with me like forever. Like, because I think about something that I just, it might just be like a new car or something, anything in life. And you're like, well, how bad do you want it? What does it actually mean to you? Like, do you really want it that bad? Yeah, like what does it mean to you? Like how bad do you really want it, man? And it's just something that sticks with me, and I think it's important to have kids in sports, give some structure, builds their strength, and just keeps them in good shape, keeps them out of trouble off the streets. I mean, a lot of people still get in trouble and they're in sports, but it is what it is. It weeds out the good and bad kids, and you see the kids that are in sports kind of take it through life and actually do good in life later on.
Yeah, man. And we talked about it a little bit too. Is like it's a healthy environment for them to learn failure too, right? And,
Yeah.
or like the pain of loss, right? It's a they're life skills that you learn in a controlled environment, and it's better to lose or better to learn disappointment from like losing a game versus like losing a loved one or something, and then you have that skill later in life to deal with it. So I think Justin's up next with a question for you.
Yeah, so like, what advice do you have for dads as it relates to having their kids in sports? Often, so many dads get like far too intense about the game and miss the bigger picture of competition and like lessons to be learned. So, like, I guess some of the mistakes to avoid, good habits to implement, things like that.
That's a tough question. That is because I'm the one that gets involved in like just like wants my kid to like just 110% every time you touch the court because my kid Caden well my step kid is he's 16 and he plays basketball and I tell him like every time you get on the court, man, just do it like you're trying to feed your family, because this is going to be the last time that you ever get on this court. And it's crazy to say that, but in the perspective of it, it's really true. It's like you're getting on that court, and you tell me you want to play in the NBA, and you want to you want to do this, you want to give back to us, and I don't expect anything from him if he ever goes to the NBA. I would never ask for any of his money. If he gives me whatever he wants, that's fine with me. But you're playing like you're trying to feed your family. And I tell them, just go out there and play strong, play with a clear mind, and don't do it like you're gonna ever do it twice. You never live this life twice. So if you're gonna do it and do it right, man. Um, I just don't have a good answer for dads who just get into it. There's no good answer. I mean, I think you just gotta look back to it like as a kid, and how you would feel about like your parent like being too aggressive and
Yeah,
too into the sport. It it's tough. It's a tough question. Where do you draw the line at? I guess.
right.
Yeah.
So I'll give you with a little trick that one of our previous guests, Chris Singleton, shared with us. He was a MLB baseball player professionally, and he said I think he picked up from someone too. So it's not even necessarily his, but he hit us with it, and it's ask your kid 3 questions, like after the game or after practice. And number one is did you have fun? Did you enjoy it? And then number two is what do you want to work on or what do you think you need to work on? So it kind of puts the power in their control about the negative. That way, it's not you just hitting them with it. Um, and then the final one is, what did you do well? Because you kind of end on them affirming what they did do well, acknowledging that because that's important too. And he was saying that he sees or he thinks a lot of dads make kids want to quit the sport because they're overly intense about it, especially when they're younger, right? As they age
Yeah.
up in their high school level, that's a little bit different because especially if they're really talented, right? There's scholarships on the line, things like that. But especially when they're young, so that was for me. That was like mind blowing. I was like, "Oof, I needed that, way earlier than I got it." But I've used it with my daughter a lot. It's very helpful. And then another trick too, like depending on the sport they play, like if they're wearing the hat or still kind of in their uniform, you can keep asking them questions about it, or hey, do you want to work on this? But the second they kind of like take the hat off, it's like, okay, Dad, I'm done talking about it. But not sure if you'd heard that before. I wanted to give
Yeah.
that to you. And now
Yeah.
you can
No,
hit
that's
all
good
the
to know.
debt. If you see dads being too intense, you can pass it on now too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Definitely. I definitely would use that for Kaden and especially Breland when she's growing up because it's hard. It's hard. You see so much potential in them and you want to hit it hard but you got to remember you got to give them positive stuff and stuff that they can hang on to, and hold their head high about like get some good stuff, and not step away and be like, well, dang, the coach was yelling at me, he's mad at me, my dad's mad at me, I'm messing up, and it's just nobody wants to be in that place. Then
Yeah.
you got to figure it out.
I tell my daughter a lot too. It's like, I don't care how well you actually play the game or if you win or whatever, but there's three things that always must be your best effort, and that's your attitude, your respect towards your coach and others, and like those intangible things that really matter, right? Like, because that's the lifelong skill. If you win the game, great. If you gave your best effort, even if you're the worst on the field, I don't care. If it was your best, it was your best. But I think that's another thing too. Like, a lot of people hone in on the specifics of the game and miss the bigger opportunity to teach your kids life skills, like you brought up, right? These are life skills that they're going to learn. Your coach said things to you that still stick with you today as a man, as an adult, as a father. So really good stuff, man. Dustin, you're up, man.
Yeah, Chad, specifically as a stepdad, how did you jump into that role and how do you get Caden's respect? I know so many dads have trouble with stepchildren, oh, you're not my real dad, that kind of stuff. How did you, I mean, it's tough. Yeah. So how did you address that? How did you get Caden's respect to where he wants you to be his coach and he wants to learn, about basketball from you? That's really cool.
It wasn't easy at all, but I will say, just going back to you know the stepping into a child's mind, when I basically like started talking to his mom and everything like that. The first thing I said to him was like, "Hey, like, what game are you playing? Like, you want to go to GameStop? Get you a game." It kind of reeled him in that way. So it's like,
That's good. Yeah.
okay, it's like, okay, like, yeah, like, this guy's cool. So he basically, from there we've been um pretty awesome. I mean, there's ups and downs with it, but as far as the coaching side, it's just uh, I think he sees me as like a pretty good athlete, myself, and I try to stay active. So um, I'm always watching sports, so he always comes to me like, "Hey, can we go to the gym? Like, hey, can we work out?" And it's pretty special. It's it comes naturally just for him, like, just to ask for advice. So it wasn't hard, and wasn't easy, but um, I think the hardest part, and like we talked on, is like basically how do you give the kid advice, or and like how receptive they are to it, and like you got to figure out like what works for them, and what um what not to do, and when they stop listening, and just all that kind of stuff. And they have to have the right attitude, and as a 16-year-old boy, teenager, they're all over the place. So their attitude's
They're all
always not the yeah their attitude's always not the greatest, and you got to remind them of that. Just like George said, it, but the advice and the coaching, just came easily, and he listens, and he he tries to adjust. And sometimes I have to really, when we're training or we're going to the court, I try to get him to play against older people. I tell him like, the older people you play is like, it's better for you, because they're bigger, they're stronger, and they're mentally at a different place in the game, and some of them may not have the ability to do what you can do as far as speed or agility or dribbling, but they're smarter in their head, so they're able to play the game at a different level. And a good person is like Chris Paul, and he's still doing it. He's very older gentleman, himself, but he was just he just is basically able to like find that niche and play his game and do what he can do. So that's why I tell him that, where you could take pieces of the game from everybody and stuff like that.
You could learn from a lot worse people than Chris Paul. He's got a beautiful game. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, he does. Even though I don't like him as a player, I mean, he's a good player, but as like a Like as a player, like I just think,
Yeah. Okay. Who's
mm,
who's your team?
Golden State.
Ah, okay. You're a Golden State guy. Very nice. Yep.
Yeah.
Before they were good, or
I,
oh, there it
that's the tough question. Um, you know what? Around 2015, I think became a fan. When I seen Stephen Curry,
Mhm.
Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson doing
Right.
what they were doing, and they were a young bunch. I was just like, that's when the three ball kind of rose and
Yeah.
came about. It was great. I was just like, man, these guys they're the little guys, and that's how I always perceive myself. Even though I'm 6'1", I was like, they're the little guys, and you always want to root for the little guys. He's barely 6 foot and just plays an amazing game. And little is too small. People wrote him off the ankle issues and stuff like that, and I kind of cling to that.
Yeah. It's definitely, not your stereotypical like dominant player, right? You
Yeah.
think of someone like a Shaq or a, Michael Jordan who was 6'6" or something, but yeah. Just I think you had something?
Well, yeah, no, it's actually a funny story. Dustin, were you with me when we went to the Hawks game in Atlanta?
Yeah, we met Dominic Wilkins.
And you know who else we met and we didn't even realize who he was?
We
Luka
missed-
Doncic.
Luca was there.
Luka gave us his autograph, man. I have his autograph when he was a Hawks player.
Wow.
He was in the
I was so
parking lot.
excited to meet
Remember the
Dominic.
Maserati? Yeah, no, he walked to a Maserati. You remember that?
And your friend was like, "Oh, this guy. I mean, Dominic's cool, but this guy's
He's a
cool."
big deal. Like, and now
Luka
he's like
Doncic. Yeah.
unbelievably good. He's probably my favorite in the NBA right now.
I had no idea, man. We probably
With Luka, yeah. So like,
that's cool.
I kind
All
of
right.
thought about that. I was going through. I'm doing my office up with some of the sports memorabilia, and yeah, I saw the. I had like a little Atlanta Hawks like thing medallion that they gave us that night, and Luka had signed it, and I was like, this is actually probably worth something now that I think about it. So
Yeah. That's pretty
anyway,
cool.
it's neither here nor
You
there.
still have it?
Yeah, it's up
Okay.
there. I got a few different sport
There you
things
go.
up there. Anyways, neither here nor there. So I guess the question I really had was, it seems like from what I hear from, like present fathers and from the dads who just get it, who have that charisma, who are next level, who have, that it factor, so to speak. It seems like those kind of guys are the ones who are true leaders. They lead by example, and they lead the way. They kind of lead the charge, so to speak. As a stepdad, do you think that is a skill that really helped you, kind of helping with your son and kind of getting him to where he sees your leadership and sees, that you said you're active, like, is it something that kind of brought him into letting you, I guess, trusting you and letting you become his mentor and, sports and stuff?
Yeah, I think it did. Especially when I tell him all the stories about like everything that I used to do and back then, and he sees that I'm like basically like I know what I'm doing. Like I have like the ins and out of the game. And when he comes out and sees me play like 7-on-7 flag football, and he sees like the how I can switch from a moment to like a goofy and like to the leadership role, like hey, like let's go guys, like now it's time to go, like and he sees that, so it's pretty nice to think about. That's like okay, like he sees that and he's like, "Oh, I respect that guy," and like, you know what? I can't get training from that guy. I can't ask him questions about like different sports and have him advocate for me and stuff like that. And I not gonna lie, I tried to get him into track this past season. I told him it's tough. I told him it's tough. This is a tough sport. It's a self sport. It's just you. And you do have team races, but it's it's definitely more to you type of
Even in a
thing.
team
If you
race, you can tell who slowed you down,
yeah, exactly. And it was no good way to put it to him. I was like, when you get out there, you're gonna just do your best, but remember, everything comes back on you. There's nobody to blame when it comes to like, oh well, he didn't pass me the ball, or he passed me the ball and he passed it too high, or something like that. So I gave him the ins and outs of the track, and he listened to me. I told him like, "Hey man, you do track, you're gonna get 10 times faster. Your hops are gonna get up there. You're gonna be able to dunk," because he wants to dunk so bad. So yeah, he listened to me on that, and he stuck through it and did his thing. And
That makes
proud
sense, right?
of
I
him.
mean, Tyreek Hill got his speed from being a track athlete, right? So yeah,
He's super fast, man.
he's the fastest. Yeah, we've got
Crazy
Like,
speed,
yeah.
right?
No, I'll tell you who really will surprise you. He went to Brandon's college at Ole Miss. I'm curious if you guys know who I'm talking about. I'll give you a hand. He plays for the Seahawks. Big dude.
Um,
Oh wait.
uh,
I'm thinking of Michigan
The,
State guy.
the receiver. Why can't I think
the
of his name?
receiver starts
Come
with
on,
an
Brandon.
M.
Give him this.
He's huge and absolutely.
Yeah, he's
I can't.
Monster.
Not Metcalf.
DK Metcalf.
Yeah, DK Metcalf. Yeah.
Ah, yeah,
Metcalf. Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
That guy is probably one of the strongest guys I've seen go through the combine.
His combine picture was so scary. He looked like some like Marvel villain, you know.
Candy, right? He was talking about his diet. He said he eats candy and like then
Yeah,
top
well,
of the
I mean,
like
he
what?
obviously eats a crap load of protein too.
Yeah.
But he's 6'4" and he's like 243, I think, or something. When he
His
runs
abs
like
have abs.
dude, unbelievably strong. So
yeah.
yeah, I mean, you watched him that once. I think it was 2 seasons ago when he chased down on an interception. He chased the guy down who's
Buda
like one of the
Baker.
fastest,
Buda Baker, yep.
absolutely just
That's
smoked him.
crazy.
I was like, what? So
Yeah, there's some absolute specimens that play pro sports, man. It's crazy. But I was gonna kind of tack on to you kind of working with your stepson and not just necessarily cross training, but one of the most valuable things I think I learned from sports and all the competitive things I did was how to be teachable. And it sounds like he's already very very coachable. But that's a huge thing in life too. Is you're going to end up somewhere, either your job or something, your marriage, raising kids. Like you need to be teachable because you don't know everything. You're never going to know it all. So learning how to learn or seeking that guidance from others is such a huge thing that you can learn from sports, and kids can learn even at an early age, and almost make them not addicted, but excited about it, right? Like they'll see the value very quickly. Like, oh, this person had great information for me. I applied it, and it's working for me now. And so they'll kind of keep that positive feedback loop the rest of their life, and they'll hunt for that, potentially. So I think that's a huge thing that we kind of overlook, right? Because it's so easy to focus on the game, and we're very like goal oriented people as guys already, and but that I think that's something that I took away from it. And it's great that your son or your stepson sounds so willing to receive instruction, and that's something that's going to benefit him long term. But for all the dads out there, that's another thing that you can really hone in on with your kids through sports or any kind of competitive environment where they have to work towards a goal. They have to put in the work to train, learn, whatever. It's a very valuable aspect. So I just wanted to kind of piggyback on where you were going with that.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree.
Yeah, so I got one now for you. And since you see and you watch a lot of players, I'm just curious what you think. So I want, in not in any particular order, and I want to go around the horn on this, but I want you to start off with the answers first. What are the 3 top players that made you just like instantly catch your eye, or just change sports in a way that just instantly grasped you and you had to watch them from then on? What would those 3 players be?
Starting off, Steph Curry. Usain Bolt.
Yes.
He's
Love
so
him.
good.
Yeah.
So fast.
He looked back. He was going so fast.
Yeah, and who else? I want to say Christian McCaffrey.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I watch I watch a lot of him because that's just
Dude, look at his training videos like on Instagram and stuff. Good
He's a monster.
lord.
yeah.
I do not want to get hit by that guy.
I don't want to throw in a fourth, but before Christian McCaffrey, it was Mike Allscott.
Alscott. Okay. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, he was.
The
He was
fullback for Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
yeah, he was
Right.
he was a dog, definitely a dog, and as you could hear the dog
Yeah.
calling for Mike Allstott's name, but he's a dog. Definitely a dog. Yeah, he definitely my dog definitely agrees with him. So that's crazy. Sorry about that, guys.
All right, so Dustin, you're next, bro. Get after it.
So I actually just watched the new Michael Jordan documentary last night, and it was awesome. It talks about how he signed with Nike and how he really wanted to go with Adidas or Converse, but Nike made him the first offer where he got a piece of the shoe, and it's literally made him billions of dollars. He's the first athlete in history to ever get a piece of the shoe, and so that's what the documentary is about. It's called Air, I think, or something.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's not like The Last Dance or whatever they called it. It's
No, this is a brand new one that just
Okay,
came out,
okay.
and it's all about sports finance. So yeah, Michael Jordan. I went to UNC, so we just. I mean, Michael Jordan will always be the greatest basketball player. I don't want to hear about LeBron. I don't want to hear about Kobe. It's Jordan. Yes. So he's definitely up there. I'm going to throw this one out there, not because I love his personality, but because he's someone who grew on me and I didn't like initially. The fact that Tom Brady played at the level that he did for as many years as he did took someone who I didn't like. He grated on me. I was like, oh, this guy's annoying. He always beat my favorite teams. When he knocked out the Falcons, but they were up 25 points, something like that, into the third quarter, and then he came back and beat them. I was like, I can't stand this guy. But then year after year, he keeps coming back, and he loves the game so much. And yeah, that's a good point, George. Not the best example in terms of marital decisions. He did potentially sacrifice his marriage for sports, but from a pure sport perspective, incredible that he was able to do that with his body and continue to play at that level. So that was incredible. And then I've always been obsessed with Serena Williams. She's the greatest female athlete of all time by far. I was her ball boy when I was a kid. I was 15 years old, and I met
you're
Venus and
confusing them
Serena.
with Leah Thomas.
Really?
Right? Yeah. Sorry, I forgot about Leah Thomas. Yeah. Man, I'll tell you what, they are the nicest people. Venus and Serena. So I met all these other tennis players, and they were kind of ho-hum, not nice, whatever. And then all of a sudden I meet Venus and Serena, and they were kind and gentle, and then they would just blast the ball, and they were incredible athletes. And just watching them, I mean, they're amazing. So definitely top.
Dustin's forgetting to mention he had a crush. He likes strong women.
Yeah, I did exactly.
His wife's a beast, man. She's strong.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right, who's next?
B.
I'll go. So my favorite growing up was Emmitt Smith and MJ, obviously, but my two other favorites would have to be pioneers, which were Jesse Owens and Jackie Robinson. Jesse was so amazing, and the guy gave the middle finger to the Nazis. Through his performance, basically.
Hard to.
That was in the 30s. So you can imagine the climate that he was in socially, and he was battling against that. And then Jackie did the same thing. And I remember being in like 4th or 5th grade doing a report on him and just thinking, wow, what an incredible example to go by. So yeah, those would be mine for sure.
Nice. I guess I'll go next. So Dustin stole MJ, obviously, because just Michael was unbelievable. But I have to say, I really truly respected Mamba, because he had his mentality, man. It was something else. It was other level. I don't even know how to describe like the way he just approached life in general. And it's so sad what happened to him and his daughter, man. But anyways, the other would probably be Tiger Woods. I absolutely love what Tiger Woods did for the sport of golf. He was electric to watch, and just what he did just in general. And the life he lived, what he's gone through. If you ever watch this documentary, it's incredible. It's on HBO. It's harsh, man. I mean, like the things he watched, it proves that, a lot of kids pick up on what their dads do on a daily basis. And his dad wasn't exactly the greatest guy in the world. And he actually shares about that. So it was pretty deep to watch that. But I guess my third would be from my favorite sport. Third and fourth. It's 3 guys tied for that. Greg Maddux. I absolutely loved and adored watching Greg Maddux.
The Bravos.
This man was the best pitcher I think that's ever lived, if you ask me, because if you look at his statistics on paper, he's probably the best. And he
Verlander.
Right. He smoked like a pack a day too, which is what was so crazy. He was not an athlete. He just was an unbelievable pitcher. I used to love Ken Griffey Jr., but now it's Ronald Acuna, man. Ronald is he's unbelievably talented. If he can stay healthy, I think the Braves are going to get another championship or two. But if I'm going into the dark side, since I'm not a Yankees fan, I have to say Aaron Judge is. We talk about specimens.
He's funny.
Dude's like 6'6", 6'7", 280 pounds, and he's not like fat. He's all muscle. Like, that's an impressive dude to watch, man. I enjoy watching him. So I guess those are my baseball ones. But.
All right. Last but not least, number one is Michael Jordan. If you were a kid in the 90s, how did you, I mean, everyone was a Michael Jordan fan. I mean, he's just the most amazing athlete. So for me, that every kid wanted to beat Michael. I mean, so that's number one. Number two, we're going to go in a way different direction from the conventional sports. Tony Hawk, seeing him pull the first 900 was just like absolutely
Okay.
insane.
His video game was fun too.
Could never
Yeah, it was.
get it.
It's
Just
so
like,
good,
wow.
yeah.
I mean, I vividly remember watching that live on TV. My brother and I and our friends, we were so obsessed with like extreme sports and stuff. That blew my mind. And then another one I think I'm going to say is Shaun White for snowboarding. Just
The flying
unreal.
tomato.
Like when you see them come out of the half pipe and they have the measurement of like how far above the top of the pipe they are in the air, and you like really think about that for a second. I just remember being a teenager and being like, I'm not very tough. I'm not very good at this stuff. That's insane. And then after being a multiple champion Olympian, went into like X Games stuff and is a multiple champion on a skateboard. So there's a whole lot of other like guys like that, like Dave Mira was a huge influence for me too growing up. But like those extreme sports guys were just mind blowing to me, the stuff that they did. And that was kind of like when it first started becoming real popular. It was like, the late 90s and stuff. And they did a tournament, like an official ESPN tournament, like right by my house in Oregon. And it was like one of the first ones ever. They built the skate park and they left it for the city to use. And it was amazing. But like, I got to like see them all in person. And I was maybe, I don't know, 9 years old. And I was just like, wow, these guys are unreal. So, that for me, those are the ones that kind of did it for me. But Brandon, I think we're going to bring it back to a little bit more of a fatherhood focused type of question. You got a really good one teed up. So I'm excited to see the answers for this one.
Yeah. So, Chad, as someone who is deeply involved in sports, how do you feel sports coaches or sports programs can step in and fill the gap for fatherless children? Like, are there any specific strategies or actions you'd recommend? Because I think that's one of the things that's kind of near and dear to us is, seeing fatherless children and this generation that's plagued with it. And there's so many issues that arise from that. And so how do we help fix that?
Yeah, that's a touchy subject because you it's been going on for generations, and it's tough. It's tough being a part of that as a kid. As one who didn't grow up with a father, it's tough. It takes a toll on you. So when you play sports, you don't have somebody to look up to, and well, you have players, but you don't have any like somebody close, like a male figure to look up to. So when a coach actually steps up and fills that void, it's a pretty amazing thing, and it gives you confidence. And for as a coach, you just have to basically be inviting, so that person wants you to embrace them and do give them advice, and just do other things like take you home, offer for rides. Hey, did you eat? How's your day going? How's your mom? Or how's your dad if you don't have your mom? And anything I can do for you. And if you're slacking behind in school, it's great. It's a great feeling to have a coach have your back about your grades. Like, hey man, like let's go to the tutor together, or um, first 30 minutes of practice. I'm gonna sit down with you, and we're gonna go over a couple of things, and then we'll walk out to practice, and just or have one of the other assistant coaches, sit down with you and just go over a few stuff, because it helps in the long run. And I think you get to see people actually that they're not obligated to help, but they fill that role, and they do help. And it's the same for a dad if you're not there in your child's life, through sports or through school or through life, anything. You just, I mean, put the differences aside. It's
Yeah.
not worth it. It's terrible on the kids, and I, you know, it is what it is. Sometimes it gets nasty, but the coach, to be a coach and to step into a kid's life is definitely great. I remember the little quick story. Coach David Dye um, passed away last year due to COVID, but bless his heart. He was my freshman coach, and I worked out with him all summer before I entered high school, and he was hard on me, and I kind of like that, and because my mom was really a hard nosed person as well, because she had to fill the void for me not having a father. So I kind of was receptive to that, and he
Sure.
would also joke with me and give me ride home from practice, and just to tell me that I'm doing good, I'm doing all right, and that uh, I'm gonna be somebody. So when I went to high school and he was my coach, I was ecstatic. I was like giving 110% on the field, no slack. Just I was a real go getter, and politics with coaching. But he stopped being my coach, and I felt like I lost kind of lost my dad coach. So it's like it wasn't the same. And when you have that relationship with a coach, it's special. It's really special. You go to them for advice, and you always go back to them for training when you go to college. And you see it all the time with these kids now, that they had like a coach that was kind of like a father figure to them, and even though they're in college or NFL, they go back to them for advice at college, and they keep them close to them all the way through to intern.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Um, so I had a more kind of personal question. Is you said you grew up without a dad. I guess number one is how much more has that driven you now in your role as a father, and then the second part would be what advice do you have for those who kind of grew up in a similar situation with as you who may be hesitant to want to be dads themselves because of that? What advice would you give them to maybe encourage them to reconsider that?
Um, yeah, that's a great question. I drive myself every day, even before I had a kid, even before I stepped in a role as a stepdad. I would tell myself, even growing up as a teenager, I'm always going to be there, always going to be there, no matter what. I'm always gonna be that guy that they see that is gonna be in it for long haul, no matter what situation, no matter how bad it gets. Um, because you just wanna be there, and being a father figure, it feels good, it's rewarding in a lot of aspects. So if you're like hesitant about being a new dad because your dad was there and you don't know how to be a dad, I say nobody's never ready to be a dad, and no matter how much you prepare for it, um, I mean, we try to prepare, right? So so we don't have to go through the unorganized stuff about it. So it's you're never ready. You're never ready, and I
Right.
love it. I love it. So you just gotta take it one day at a time, man. And if you're ready to have that kid, have it and stick around. Stick around. You're definitely gonna enjoy yourself, even though they get on your nerves in the older years.
Yeah.
You'll definitely look back and be like, you know what, it wasn't
Well,
that
and
bad.
the impact you can make as a father is so
Yeah,
critical.
yeah,
Yeah, I
definitely.
mean, just showing up, man. I mean, I saw a video the other day. I think it went viral on Instagram, and it was a little girl who was looking out in the crowd. She saw her mom, and she was like excited, but she didn't see her dad. Her dad was in the bathroom, and like finally the dad walks out, and you hear her like scream at dad, and then like she goes out and performs and does her thing, and it's crazy the confidence you get just having the people that you have your faith in being there for you. So like, yeah, I think that's something that needs to happen.
I want to piggyback on like encouraging potential dads, guys out there maybe considering it is just to highlight how important that role is and how valuable it is. So like my daughter had an event today, and I walked into the gym. There's all these parents, so she's trying to find me in the bleachers, and I see her very quickly, but I can tell that she's just searching. She's looking for where I'm at, and the second she saw me, she just lit up, waving, so excited, and so like that, just your presence, at a thing like that makes such a huge impact in another human being's life, and it's your tiny human. You just can't really, you'll never experience something like that to that level unless you take the leap and become a dad. Um, and obviously you want to do all the right things first of like finding the right person to become a father with. So don't just like rush into it. But
No.
if you're married and maybe you're thinking like, I don't know if we should have kids. I came from a rough background. Like you have a chance to change that, right? You can set the next generation off on a better path. So I just wanted to also
Yeah.
give that encouragement.
Prove 'em wrong. Prove 'em wrong, man.
Exactly.
Right.
Prove 'em
And
wrong.
one of
Make a
the
change.
the most beautiful things too is that your kids are going to be the one of the few people in your entire life that will love you unconditionally. Like literally, it's one of the handful of people that
They're
will love you
programmed for
unconditionally.
it.
Yeah,
Wired.
It's insane.
and you get to raise them in a childhood that you yearned for, and you get to see what it's like for your kid to go through the one that you wanted. And so there's a lot of healing there too. So that's one thing I would encourage potential dads for sure.
It's a great way of putting it.
Yeah.
Our dad had a sucky life, and he's got 4 boys now, and we all have kids now. We all have 2 kids. So he's as happy as they can be, man. So you never know. You break those generational issues, and you know what you want changed when
Right.
you go through, having
you can
not
learn
having
from
or
bad.
having somebody that's
Yeah,
bad.
you can learn from a bad teacher just as much as a good one. So, Chad, thanks for being so,
Yeah.
open about your
Yep.
background and
Yeah.
that. I appreciate your honesty, and I think that's another thing that men need to do more often is be, transparent and vulnerable about stuff like this. So,
Yeah,
thanks,
definitely.
Dustin.
It feels good. Yeah. So I had a single mom as well. And I don't think I would have been nearly as successful as I was if I didn't love sports. I mean, it was absolutely essential to how I grew up, and what got me hyped and focused about other things like academics. So, question for you, and I'm always kind of torn on this one. Classic, you got a kid who's a great athlete, not such a good scholar. And so he's not doing that great in school, right? He falls below that 2.0 GPA. So now he can't play sports. Is that the right thing to do? Should we take that away from kids if that's all they've got? And then we say, okay, well, you're not focusing on school, so we're going to take the sports away. Do you think it's enough of a motivator where it gets them back academically and then back in sports? Or do you think maybe it's a little bit more harmful?
No, because I mean, that's something they love. So I mean, I would I wouldn't take it away from them, but you start at home, and what is he not doing at the house? What is he doing at the house, or what is she doing at the house? Um, and you kind of steer them in the right direction. And it comes down to, I always tell my family, it comes down to organization. You know what I'm saying, and setting times, setting just the small goals. And that's gonna kind of help you with, hey, like I'm not doing good in school. I'm failing the math, and you come home and you get straight on the game, or you go take a nap, and hey, you know 15, 20 minutes, let's sit down, let's get it done, let's study. And but we're going to take away the game time, we're going to take away the other privileges you have, because but that doesn't matter. We love sports, and we know you love it, and that's an avenue to succeed in life. But and video game is too, but it's just it, it's more. I don't. It's tough. It's tough. It's a tough way to put it. But the only way I can put it is you wouldn't take that away. That's something that they're gonna have. Like we said earlier, they're gonna have life experiences and how to deal with certain stuff and how to cope with certain stuff, and they learn life lessons from sports. So I definitely wouldn't take it away.
Yeah. I mean, like I understand the school has to have like a standard, right, to like hold people to, but at the same time, if you're in the position that's having to make that decision, I would want to be asking the questions like, okay, what is their attitude like? How do they show up to class? Are they genuinely trying? Have they gotten a mentor or a tutor yet? Like, if they're just blowing it off and they've got a terrible attitude and like, well, I'm a great athlete, I don't need to worry about anything else or whatever. Wrong attitude. Like that type of mentality, you're not going to go far in life, whether it's sports, work, marriage, raising kids, whatever it's going to be. So like for me, it's like the spirit of the thing matters almost more than the actual outcome in a sense. And I don't know if the system's really set up very well to do that, or if they have the power to do that. I don't really know. But I think that's should be part of the conversation if it's not. And I think that applies outside of maybe just like grades in school. Is if you've got a kid or teenager or whatever who's struggling with something, but they're genuinely making their best effort, then that's the person that I believe deserves the extra chances and the extra help and stuff because they're showing that they're putting their heart into it. And some people just struggle, like that's how it is. But if someone's got all the talent in the world and they're just not applying themselves, I don't waste my time with those people. And even when I was younger, I never felt the need to like do extra reps with them or something because they told me from the get go I'm not willing to do it essentially with their attitude. So maybe I'm wrong, but that's kind of George's perspective on that whole topic.
Yeah, wouldn't you guys agree? Like, if you have a present father who, like I said earlier, takes charge, leads by example, has, great work ethic and teaches you those same things, you're probably not going to run into these issues in the first place. I mean, having a present dad who's going to be there and ask you daily, like, hey, son, how's school going? Like, what's going on? I need to know, like, keep me informed on things. And I think if you have that trust, if they're, I think, like Chad said, if they're struggling, they're going to go to that person that they trust. And if you're a present dad, you're not going to have those. You're less likely to have those issues. I'm not going to say you're not going to have them, but I feel like if you are that present guy, I don't think your kids are going to have those issues because they're going to come to you and say, "Hey, Dad, I'm struggling. I need a tutor," or, you know, "I'm surrounding myself with bad people, and you've always told me, who you keep around you is what's important. That's the people you become. So, I want to be successful. Like, what do I need to do?" And those are the kind of conversations that a real father that actually genuinely cares about their kids is going to have. You know what I mean? So that's just my 2 cents on it.
It's definitely tough. I mean, I'm trying to draw this back to like just us as fathers and not maybe just the specifics of sports and grades, but don't jump to conclusions and don't jump to doling out punishment or consequences necessarily. Like you need to make sure that you've got the whole story, you're seeing the whole picture. Um, Ironically, that's kind of something I learned from the military is like when you have to issue out punishment, you know, from the military process, like as a commander, you don't want to just hit someone with because it's a career altering thing potentially, right? So you need to find out all the information. And I think a lot of times with our kids, we just jump right to like, I told you no, so now you're grounded or whatever, right? And then like maybe there was something really big that we totally missed. And then now it's hard to walk it back once you've already kind of like thrown it out, right? So, kind of taking that pause and digging deep. And so I think this happened to just be a really good example for us to maybe ponder that thought. But, Chad, I'd be interested to see what your kind of rebuttal would be, or if you agree with what I was saying, where you kind of see the whole picture, and then let's maybe try and get that person help if they're willing. But sports is one area, but I think it applies to a lot of different areas too.
For sure.
All right, B, I think you got a question there, right?
Yeah.
Ask that one?
So we're talking about like challenges people face and adversity. So what's a challenge you faced in your journey as a dad that you're particularly proud of overcoming?
Uh, I think being able to, a big one is, like George said, is to when you throw something out there, it's hard to reel it back. And if you do give your kid bad advice or say something like hurtful, or you they did something, but they did it because the other parent told them to do it that way, and you see that that wasn't the right way to do it. It's hard as a grown up for people to apologize, especially to kids, and you got to be able to bite your teeth or bite your pride and go in there and say, "Hey, look, I messed up. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say those type of things or raise my voice or lead you in the wrong direction. I didn't really know what I was doing, and just take one to the chest, and tell them, apologize, and let them know hey, you're human, you can make mistakes, and it's okay to apologize for them, and let the person know that you're sorry.
I love that. Such a good answer.
That's huge. Yeah.
Well, and you're teaching them that skill too by you doing it, right? You're modeling it.
We should teach our
Good.
surgeons that. It's okay to apologize sometimes. We're not perfect.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, definitely.
Well,
Maybe
good luck
that's why
there.
you didn't have a father.
Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah,
I mean, but if you look at it, like all the men's men, it's those guys who are calm, cool, and collected no matter what the situation. And as much as we talk about we want to be that man, or we want to strive for that, it's hard. We're all imperfect, and like you said, you're a father trying to figure things out, man, and we don't always know the right ways, and it's okay to tell your kids that too. And a lot of fathers think that it's not. It's like, no, you need to let them know you have downfalls too, so that they can learn from them, so.
Yep. Yeah, man. You got to be there's the right level of vulnerability. You don't want to like dump everything on them, but you want them to see that it's okay to mess up. So, Chad, I just wanted to kind of let you give any final thoughts on fatherhood or advice for dads out there that you may have that we maybe haven't covered.
Go for it. Yeah,
Just wake up and get it.
just wake up and get it, man.
I like it.
Just go for it. That's my best advice. You
Yeah,
only,
man.
like I said, you only live once, and don't act like you're gonna live twice. Just do it, man. Just like my friend says, do it at 110% speed, and if you're gonna make a mistake.
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird saying, but I guess it works in his life. So
That's
Right. I saw like a really eye opening. I think it was like an Instagram reel, but it gives the numbers about like how many Christmases you'll get and how many birthdays you'll get with your kid, and it was like, man, when you see that number and how small it really is, and then you tick off the ones you've already been through, and you're like, oh man, time runs out quick. So I like that.
Faith, man.
I like what you were saying. Just get up and get it, and every day is a gift. So that our last guest said that too. Like gratefulness, having that gratitude day to day is so huge. So appreciate that final thought from you, man. That's good. So go get it, dads. With that, Chad. I want to highlight your channel real quick. So I'm bringing it up in the room here. So this is your YouTube. Is this the only place to find you, or are there other places? I guess there's the links here. So
yep, there are links there, and then All American Film on IG. That's where most of our presence is.
oh, it's actually on
We have
Instagram. Okay.
we're actually on Instagram. We're on Twitter as well, but the the younger kids go there for a little bit more stats and stuff like that. So when we're working on getting a writer for that, and getting involved with the stats, and writing articles about certain players, and just
Okay.
highlighting them, and not talking down about kids, because that kind of be like the worst
Yeah.
thing to do when you write an article. You see like, oh well, he's not living up to expectation. You don't want to write something like that, and we're just trying to
Right.
build positivity around the county, and just even the college level, or the professional level, about sports, and when we start writing about that stuff. So we're getting on to that, and we have a good amount of videos up there,
Yeah.
that where I work, and some documentaries and docus and stuff like that that we've been working on. And it takes time to get that stuff rolling, and
Right.
the athletes are pretty much, they have a set schedule, so we try to work around that. But that's it right there. All
Yeah.
American.
And just to be clear, so the content you're kind of making are you doing a lot of help with like footage for them to like send off to potential recruiters and stuff as well, or is it just kind of chronicling it for them to have? Is it a little of both?
A little bit of
Just
both.
I don't know a lot about it, so tell us about kind of everything that you're trying to do there.
Yeah, a little bit of both. So the goal is to actually get them a spotlight, somebody, like if they stumble upon it, like, hey, like, wow, this was a great highlight play. Like, who is this player? And also for them to have so they can actually put together a highlight
Okay.
reel and look back on it and just, like you said, George, you have that one picture that you still remember to this day that you
Yeah.
got framed up on your wall, and you're like, man, like, look at this. Look, like, you're showing your kid, like, hey, this is. I was like Will Chamberlain back in the day, something like that, right? So,
Well, funny on that legacy, that jersey back there, that was my grandfather's high school football jersey.
there we go.
And on the 4, there's actually a little drop of blood. It's stained.
That,
So, yeah, I mean, that you hang on to that stuff, it matters. So I love that you're playing such an active role and kind of, you're kind of a little bit of a father figure to all these players, right? You're giving them something that they'll remember for the rest of their life, and especially
yeah,
now with like YouTube and everything, you can always keep it with you. It's so cool. I really
yeah,
love it, man.
definitely. And with the docus, it's just basically talking about a lot of kids' background and their upbringing and letting them tell their story and letting people know that the younger folks around their age and maybe just a little bit older, and just let them know that they're not alone
Right.
in whatever situation they could be in. And some people have some of the same situations, and there's millions of people in the United States. So you're probably run across somebody who has the same story as you, almost maybe sometimes, and just just giving people hope
Yeah.
is and telling a
Very
story
good.
to making it beautiful, a tearjerker.
I love
Nice.
that, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I think that's really powerful. I love that and the other thing you're teaching too is that from a young age, you're teaching these young guys that it's okay to be honest about that kind of stuff. Because I think for so long, especially in sports too, it's like, hey, hide the pain. You don't want the other team to see that you're hurting or whatever. But in the real world, you can't always have it all together, right? So that's awesome, man. So,
right.
Chad, I just really want to thank you for your time tonight. Love the discussion. It's cool to talk about sports. We all love sports. But I also love your commitment to being a father and kind of giving your kids, the role that you didn't have in your own life growing up.
Yeah.
And it's inspiring. We're really glad that you were here with us. And the final thing we'll say is, all right, let's get it, dads. In the words of Chad Spikes, go for it and
Yes.
start climbing the mountain. So we'll see you in the next one. Take care, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Present Fathers Podcast. Make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Spotify to catch all of our amazing episodes. We will see you in the next one.